greed and fear are pretty high up on the list. It's interesting, though, how complex human motivation is in shaping the process that we call history. There were people who were unquestionably actuated by greed, by the profit motive, when they crossed the Atlantic and began the process of colonization of the New World that ultimately produced, lo and behold, the United States. But there were also people who were convinced they were going to build a new Jerusalem, whose motivations were primarily religious. And it's striking to me how powerful those missionary impulses remain even into the 21st century. People do behave in ways that are not simply profit maximizing. A lot of what gets done by non-governmental organizations today is analogous to what missionary societies were doing in the 19th century. It's just that the motivations are secular in many cases, though not all, rather than religious. So there's an interplay, to put it really simply, between economic motivations, but also on the other side, religious or ideological motivations, if you prefer. But that in itself is a simplification, because within that broad interplay of forces, individual motives can in fact be highly complicated and even irrational, because human beings are not well designed by evolution to make careful calculations of probability. We know from a lot of work that's been done by behavioral psychologists how bad people are at assessing their own self-interest and how poorly they attach probabilities to future scenarios, and how readily they make snap decisions rather than weighing evidence. So a really critical force, as important as the profit motive, as greed, as important as religion, ideology, and fear, is human stupidity. And in many ways of the three, I suspect that central inability of the individual human being efficiently to calculate self-interest and accurately to attach probabilities to future scenarios, that is really the main driving force in history. And it is remarkable, given the force of stupidity, that there has been any material progress at all. But then I console myself with the thought that although we have made enormous leaps and bounds in the realm of economics, in the realm of science, we live longer, we live more comfortably, we have better physical health during our lives. All of this is one of the most astonishing achievements of humanity. We have made life materially so much better, and most of that improvement happened in the last 100 years. But before you get carried away and conclude that history is a progressive phenomenon, remember, in the process, we've done enormous harm to our environment, to other human beings who haven't shared in the benefits, and we have developed the technology to destroy ourselves and all living things. So that's what I mean by human stupidity. I maybe I'm putting it too crudely, but let me be more precise about the human inability accurately to assess future scenarios and probabilities and individual self-interest.